Hey YouTube, my name's Kevin, aka Gospel Gambit. Welcome back to my third installment of climbing the Rapid Ladder on Lichess.org. If you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content. My first couple of videos on the channel, we've gone over an instructive Evans Gambit game, as well as a Scotch Gambit game with many explosive tactics. Today we're going to be reviewing one of my first games played on this account when I started the challenge. I was still playing my provisional games at the time, and this game turns out to be a quick one, with a lot of pressure and tactics abound. In this game, we'll be playing on the white side of the pieces in a Smith-Morra Accepted versus our opponent, Cane Ox Raisins. Without further delay, let's get right into the game. Smith-Morra starts by white playing 1e4, black responding 1c5, and then in normal Sicilians, white would develop their knight to f3, and all different types of Sicilians can come out of that. In the Smith-Morra, though, white elects for the immediate d4, offering black a central pawn for their c-pawn that they pushed at the start of the game. Black's whole idea in the Sicilian defense is to use this flanking pawn in order to attack white's center. So of course they have to take here on d4. And there's lines where queen can recapture on d4. But the Smith-Morra offers a second pawn right away by pushing 3. Now black has the option to decline the gambit and play the immediate f6. After e5, knight to d5, we get a position resembling an Alapin Sicilian or a c3 Sicilian. Black also has the option to push d3, offering white the pawn back, and after bishop takes, they'll get normal developing move. The idea being that black causes white to lose a tempo from playing c3, and white's light squared bishop is not the best placed piece to start the game. In this game, though, black does decide to take on c3, entering the Smith-Morra Accepted lines. We take back right away, and now we try to develop our minor pieces as well as bring our rooks to the middle in order to create a quick and decisive attack on black's king. After knight to c6, knight to f3, we see a crossroads with a lot of different options for black. He has the immediate d6, e6, g6, a6, and knight to f6. All are reasonable options for black, and all have a whole load of theory that should be known before playing them. So black kind of sets the tempo of what type of Smith-Morra lines you're going to go down. It's definitely a opening with a lot of rich theory and ideas. If you want to take a deeper dive into the opening itself, the book Mayhem in the Morra by Marc Esserman, international master Marc Esserman, is pretty much the Bible on this opening. He's put a ton of work into it and has even played the Smith-Morra over the board against high-level GMs, beating a multitude of them in the Smith-Morra in classical games. The book is also offered on Chessable for those that want to do base repetition. So in this game, we do get the knight f6 version of the Smith-Morra, which does allow white to push the pawn immediately. In my head, though, I was looking at a couple key squares that black has that are ideas in the Smith-Morra that we want to attack. Ideas being the c7 square, the f7 square, and trying to trap black's queen. You'll see a lot of ideas where white develops their knight to b5, as well as having a bishop on f4, and really tries to key in on the square, where if the knight goes there, it drops a fork for the king and the rook. Bishop gets there. It even has ideas of trapping black's queen. So in this case, I end up going bishop to f4. The normal line would be bishop to c4, putting pressure on this f7 square and giving us the option to quickly castle and bring our rooks into the game as black is still at least 1, 2, 3 moves out from castling themselves. So we go with the immediate knight f4, trying to key in on that c7 square, and black decides to push d6. So by pushing d6, black has created a hook here where push e5 now. He's forced to take as his knight on f6 would be hanging. And our idea is to kind of open up this game quickly so that we can use our superior lead in development in order to trap black's king in the center while he's still down on a couple tempo. So we push the immediate e5. After pawn takes, we take black's queen right away. Now, lines like this, black in this game decides to take back with his knight, and I think you'll see that a lot in the Lichess database here, as it is the most popular move at 75% of games are taking. But the engine does say that king takes leads to slightest of advantage still for black. But they do have to be careful, as king takes, check, and if black doesn't end up going back to his side of the board, let's say black goes here, then black is going to be in a world of hurt. He decides to not defend, and if he back takes and just tries to develop his knight, well, then we're going to see a double attack, in which case black is checkmated. So black really has to be careful, and that's kind of the whole idea of the Smith-Morra, that black is going to be put in a lot of difficult situations in which they have to find either the only move or maybe a string of moves where if they misstep even once, white has the ability to jump on them and deliver either a fast checkmate or to win material and have a lasting advantage to the entire game. So in this case, black takes back with his knight, putting another piece back on the 8th rank, and in which case we get to take back the pawn in the middle. Now we have a knight putting pressure on a lot of squares around this black king. We have ideas of bringing our other knight to that c7 square that we talked about, as well as getting our rooks into the game quickly with maybe alongside castle, bishop to c4, and bringing our other knight to either d or e1. This game, black pushes e6. We decide to long castle and either go either way. There's a few different moves, so we could either long castle or bring our bishop out. I just elect to go with the long castle, thinking that I could put some pressure on some of black's pieces that are stuck along the back rank. Now in this game, black should have gone bishop to e7, preparing to castle long as well as guarding his knight, in which case we would play checks. He tries to block. Black loses pieces, and we could force black to go uncastled. So that's the best continuation, and a lot of lower to mid-level players feel very uncomfortable with going uncastled with their king. I mean, myself included. I'm getting better at that, but it should always kind of be an option in your mind. You got to be able to think, can I defend a piece enough that's I'm using to block? And the king's a great defender in general, so because you go on castle doesn't mean that the game is completely lost. Black doesn't go bishop to e7 though. And after knight d6, a move that I was very happy to see here, as one of black's only pieces that he's been developing, we're able to trade it right away and bring our bishop into the game with check. This knight on f6 was defending this d7 square, and after we remove that from the game, black does not have the option to play bishop to d7, which they do in the game and then ultimately resign right after here. Black is forced to go uncastled. In case we're able to pick up this pawn and our other minor pieces are going to be flooding into the game, as all the black's pieces are still on the back rank. Now the engine says it's only a half a pawn advantage for white, but from a practical standpoint, this position is way easier to play from the white side of the piece. Both of our rooks are going to be in the game, staring down wide open files. Our bishops are crisscrossing the entire board, and our king is relatively safe, if not defending some pawns here on the queen side. I looked as a 1e4 player myself at my other account that I had used for many years here on Lichess, and I had over 4,200 e4 games from the white side of the pieces. And I found that of those, 1e5 was the top response with over 40% of the games played, around 1,600 games. And 1c5 was the second most played against 1e5 as a response, with close to 17% of the games played, or a little over 700. So if you'd like to pick up the Smith-Morra, I would highly recommend it. So there's a lot of material out there. Grandmaster Daniel Narditsky has done some of his speedrun games on the Smith-Morra Gambit. International Master Marc Esserman has written an entire book on it, created a Chessable, as well as streams himself under the name Master Mayhem on Twitch. Definitely go check out his Twitch channel as well as his Patreon, where he breaks down a lot of different variations Smith-Morra can dive into. And if you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you did like and subscribe, and leave a comment below if you have any questions, and hope to see you at the next video.